For decades, the US-Japan trade relationship was a pillar of global commerce. Japanese cars and electronics in American homes, American goods in Japanese markets. But in the summer of 2025, everything changed. On a sweltering July morning, the White House announced a dramatic tariff hike on Japanese cars, from 2.5% to 27.5%. The move sent shockwaves through both economies and the global auto industry. The official reason: protect American jobs and address the trade imbalance. The administration promised this bold step would revive US manufacturing. But it was more than just about cars. It was a clash over the future of global trade. The US aimed to pressure Japan into buying more American goods and opening its markets. For American automakers, it was a lifeline. For Japanese companies, a looming crisis. The summer of 2025 became a turning point, shaking the foundation of a decades-old alliance. Would the partnership survive this test, or would economic nationalism drive them apart? The world watched as the two giants faced off. The decisions made that summer would redefine not just their relationship, but the rules of international trade. What followed was a story of conflict, adaptation, and unexpected transformation. The stage was set for a dramatic showdown. The tariff announcement hit Japan like a thunderbolt. In Tokyo boardrooms, auto executives scrambled to assess the fallout. America was their top export market, and now their cars would be far pricier. Fears of plummeting sales and factory slowdowns spread quickly. In factory towns, anxiety grew. Jobs and local economies were suddenly at risk. The Japanese government condemned the move, calling it a violation of trade rules and vowing to fight back at the WTO. Prime Minister Kishida promised to defend Japanese industry and workers. The crisis forced Japan to confront its heavy reliance on US markets. Pundits debated, was the export-driven model still viable in a protectionist world? The consensus grew. Japan needed to diversify and rethink its global strategy. The tariff was a wake-up call, exposing deep vulnerabilities. Japan faced a hard reckoning and a need to adapt. Diplomatic tensions soared as negotiators met in Washington and Tokyo. The US demanded Japan reduce its trade surplus and buy more American goods. Japan pushed back, arguing the tariffs were unfair and highlighting their investments in US factories. Talks stalled, neither side would budge. In America, automakers and unions cheered the tough stance, but ports and dealerships felt the pain. US companies in the Japanese supply chain worried about the fallout. Meanwhile, Japanese automakers pivoted. They accelerated plans to build more cars in the US, sourcing more parts locally. If tariffs blocked exports, they'd deepen their American roots instead. This localization strategy turned a threat into an opportunity. The trade war forced both sides to rethink their approach. The standoff dragged on, but behind the scenes, adaptation was underway. The old rules no longer applied. Both nations were searching for a new path forward. Just as the dispute seemed hopeless, a surprise move changed everything. Nippon Steel announced plans to acquire US Steel, an icon of American industry. The news sparked outrage. Politicians and unions called it a threat to national security. But Nippon Steel launched a savvy PR campaign, promising to honor labor contracts and invest billions to modernize US mills. They framed the deal as a partnership, not a takeover, saving jobs and revitalizing American steel. Gradually, public opinion shifted. Workers and community leaders saw the benefits: new investment, job security, and a future for steel towns. The narrative changed from fear to hope. Japanese investment was recast as a commitment to America's future. This single deal did more to ease tensions than months of negotiations. It showed Japanese companies were long-term partners, not adversaries. The steel deal became a turning point in the trade conflict. It opened the door to a new kind of alliance. The Nippon Steel deal transformed the trade talks. With public opinion shifting, the US softened its stance. In the fall, a breakthrough: America rolled back auto tariffs in exchange for new Japanese investment in US manufacturing and technology. The crisis had forced a new model, less about exports, more about building together. American consumers avoided price hikes. Workers saw new jobs and investment. The alliance, tested by crisis, emerged stronger and more intertwined. Future trade talks now focused on mutual investment and innovation, not just deficits. Both nations learned the value of collaboration in a connected world. Japan proved it could adapt. The US showed it could attract global investment. The summer of 2025 became a blueprint for modern trade partnerships. The alliance survived, but new challenges always loom. The lesson: even the strongest partnerships must evolve to endure. Change is constant, but so is the need for trust and cooperation.